Hello, hello. It's Lori and Lucille from the Squeeze. Here again after a hiatus over the summer. But we are here back and very passionate to present to you our 20th episode. And it is a year from this month that we started the Squeeze. And Lucille will go ahead and give you some feedback. We want to go back and kind of remind people, or if people are new here, why we started this. What was the point of starting the Squeeze? And I'll let Lucille take over.
We thought it'd be helpful to have a little bit of background. Here we are a year later, it was September of 2019. Lori and I had been talking about, we talked every week, and often we would share, personally, how we felt that we were being just squeezed by different events, different situations in our lives. And we finally said, what are we complaining for to each other? Let's do something about this. So we decided that we would start this live stream, and we would choose topics that we believed a lot of people were feeling squeezed by. College costs.
Right, it wasn't just us, right? It wasn't just us.
Right. It wasn't just us. And at least we hoped it wasn't just us. No. Yes. College costs.
We are not alone.
We are not alone. I mean, healthcare. We ended up having quite a few shows on either alternative healthcare solutions, our healthcare system in the United States, an explanation of what it's all about. And so over the year, we've talked to a lot of interesting people, small business owners. Of course, we never expected COVID would happen.
Right. We got squeezed a little bit more than we even expected.
Yeah, in a big way. Yeah. So it's been quite a year. And so we wanted to focus today on, and we hoped that this information would help people be informed voters and that they would vote in any election that came up in the next year, but especially the national election in November coming up, which is just 53 days away.
Wow.
I know. So anyway, 53 days, Lori. So today we want to just focus on, the information you need to vote in that very important election in November.
Right. So when I was in my 20s, I moved to Temecula, California. Well, first of all, one of the things that for people who don't know us, I am living on the West Coast. I'm in California, in the Los Angeles area. And Lucille is on the East Coast in the Boston area.
Right.
So when I was in my 20s, I moved to Temecula, California, and didn't know anybody. I was introduced to the League of Women Voters there and joined a couple meetings. And that is a wonderful resource, which I did put down in the comments on our YouTube channel. Not only do they have a National League of Women Voters website, but they also have all the different states, because as Lucille and I talked more and more about what we were going to talk about today, we realized, well, also just in the news, we know that every state is different. So the cutoffs to register to vote are different. So we're going to put all those links in the comments, because I think it's important for you to know, don't wait too long, because you've got to get that done so that you get your ballot in time. But they have a lot of resources, and it's a nonpartisan site. And it's fantastic. I found it to be very informative, and they're all over Twitter. So I've been joining all of the LA, the county, the city, the state, and the national level. So.
Yeah, and I think you said it. Every state has different rules. Whether whether You can ask for an absentee ballot without a reason, or that you need to provide a reason. And another site that I found too, Lori, and that is very, very helpful, and it has these wonderful graphics, and it's so easy to use, is called it's right here actually. It's a very helpful site. It's projects dot 538.com, how to vote in 2020, which I'll put in the comments.
Very good.
Show. But that was so easy to use too. So there's so many resources out there. So what we found out is that in a week, 12 days, September 22nd is a national voter registration date. So this is very timely.
Right.
So we hope everyone spreads the word, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
So this is interesting. So I went on the Secretary of State website to find out, because they say, check to see if you're registered to vote. I know I'm registered to vote. I vote all the time. Yeah. But for some reason, I got a little, voice in the back of my head saying, check that. And when I checked it, I found this to be very interesting. I was getting my voter registration mail to an old work address that I did back in like the 90s.
Gosh.
And I didn't know that. So I was always wondering why I wasn't getting voter information in the mail, but who cares? I went to the polls and I did my thing. But now we are getting one note for California. All of California is getting their ballots by mail. So we should be receiving that this month. Every state is receiving their ballots at different times of the month, so know that. You should also know when you are receiving that, so that if you don't get it, you can stay on top of it and figure out why you didn't get it. But when I went in there, so I was able, what was interesting to me is I couldn't just edit my voter information. I had to re-register to vote in order to change my address.
Wow, Lori.
Yeah.
That's huge.
So the thing is that why we're having this conversation is you need to make a plan. I think a lot of people are planning on voting, but if you wait till the last minute and your plan falls through, your vote's not going to get counted. So if you make a plan, get on there, see what, are you receiving the information to your current address? People move all the time. Maybe, maybe you've moved and you didn't even think that you didn't change it on your voter registration. So you can do that. So also when I did that, I found out I do have a very active 17-year-old who is very politically informed and would love to be voting at this election and is disappointed that she will not be 18 to vote this year. But I found out she could help out at the polls.
Right.
So I did sign up to be a poll worker. I applied for that. She can do that as well, and she will do that. So there's a lot that we can do that we just want to get the word out, right?
Right. And there is really a big worry about a shortage of poll workers. And I actually called my local town clerk several weeks ago and I said, hey, if you need help, let me know. Luckily in my town, they're all set. They're already preparing, but the locations that are usually really in trouble are really the underserved neighborhoods. They often find that there's just not enough poll workers to handle the number of people coming out. And we know the national election is going to be a huge number of people that will be coming out to vote. So
plus they're usually the elderly that volunteer to vote.
Yes,
and with COVID, this is a big issue.
Right. There was a survey done in the mid-election in 2018, and the majority of poll workers are over 60. And so they really need a lot of help. And there is a website called powerthepolls.org. So you can go there, encourage your young adults to volunteer. They even get paid to volunteer that day. But
Right.
I think, Lori, you found out it's as young as 16 people can
Right.
volunteer. And so we need enough people to be at the polls to take
Right.
the ballots. So
in California, you get paid $100 for the day. You work, I think they expect you to be there by 6 or something like that and work until 10 o'clock at night. But I'm doing it. It's worth it. It's my civic duty.
It's so important. And it's a long day, but my God, it's worth it. You know what I mean? And particularly in this election, we want to make sure, regardless of where people stand or who they're going to vote for, their vote gets counted.
Right.
And that's the whole idea of this show today. So yeah, Power the Polls, and it's co-sponsored by the League of Women Voters, actually.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, which is great. And all this information will be in the details and the notes of our show
Right.
today.
So I read an article in CNN that was talking about how to make sure your mail-in vote counts. Going back to make your plan, they talk about that. You should have a plan to exactly how you're going to do this to make sure that, if you know what you're going to vote on, get that mail-in ballot, fill it out and send it in. But they were talking about, according to the New York Times, 76% of the country will be allowed to vote by mail. That is the highest number ever. Even though you're allowed to vote, that doesn't mean you're actually going to vote by mail. But with COVID-19, I bet you the majority of those people are planning again to vote by mail.
Right.
Yeah.
I know in Massachusetts, you said everybody in California is going to get an absentee ballot. In Massachusetts, everyone was sent a notification that they could apply for an absentee ballot, but you need to apply. And so you want to make sure that you get that application in time to get your absentee ballot. And then, like you said, make sure you get it back in time so that it's counted.
Right.
So we found a couple of other good sites too, and they were, there's one in Massachusetts, so let me just talk about that because I'm out here on the East Coast.
Yeah.
And the Massachusetts Conference for Women has a wonderful website and that they sponsored, which is 411.org. And it, again, gives all the information you need about, registering and, all the deadlines for absentee ballots and, getting them out. So that's a great resource for people here in Massachusetts. Some other sites we found was vote.org and the League of Women Voters.
Right.
And again, these are nonpartisan sites.
Right.
And they're just giving you straightforward information.
Right. So the other thing that I found out was that most states will give you a ballot with a code. Then you can go onto your Secretary of State and follow your code to track your ballot.
Oh, I like that.
See where it is in the process. If you put it in the mail, where it went, just like a FedEx package. So another thing that I think is very, we're so technologically advanced.
Yeah.
The other thing is, because of the technological advancements in the voting if you vote in person, that's another reason why they really need more tech savvy people to volunteer for the polls, because these elderly people, I mean, man, this stuff is over my head and I'm 55, but I can learn.
You'll be fine.
And I noticed that when I voted in March of this year, there were a lot of the little polling booths set aside. They weren't working, probably because no one could figure out how to, there was something wrong and they couldn't figure it out technologically what was wrong, which was such a problem. The line was huge.
that's another plus for getting our young people,
Young people,
20-year-olds,
young people.
girls engaged in this process and volunteering to work the polls, because they seem to have that second nature about technology. So anyway, yes, it's just a big issue. It's just a big issue. So we really are encouraging people to make a plan. Like Lori said in the beginning, make a plan. Make sure you have all the information that you need to assure that your vote is counted in the national election, which is November 3rd, 53 days away from today, which is amazing, right?
Right.
Yeah, so amazing. And
I like that time clock you have. You have to share that.
Yeah,
well.
there's a site called Time and Date. Yeah, it's Time and Date, and anyway, it gives you this countdown. Fabulous.
Actually, in seconds, right? So it's constantly dropping.
Yeah. And, it's kind of a cool site because you can also create, like if you had an event coming up in your personal life, you can create a countdown for that. Like if a new baby was being born, I thought it was very cool.
Or marriage.
Or a marriage, exactly. Or a marriage. Yeah, we've got one of those next year.
Yeah.
So, anyway.
We have AJ in the house.
Oh, great. Hi, AJ. Always great to see you.
Yeah, it is great to see you. We shared a couple resources, AJ. I dropped them you probably can see them on the YouTube comments, some nonpartisan sites to get information on how to vote, information on how to volunteer to be a poll worker, some articles that we have read, we dropped those in there as well. So I know that AJ is very much into this entire election process. So thank you for being here.
Yeah, she's a great supporter of the squeeze. We appreciate it. We are expecting to be broadcasting again 2 weeks from today. And Lori, that date is, what is today? So it'll be like the September 24th, I believe. We're going to be broadcasting again. Thursday, September 24th.
Okay.
And
I think we have, so that's 1 more this month and 3 in October, and that's it. So four shows
to meet our goal. Because we promised each other that we were going to do this at least through election day of 2020.
Yeah.
So I think that's kind of it, right? Yeah. We didn't want this to be a long show, and we hope that you will subscribe to our YouTube channel, and then you'll get notices of other shows that we have, at least the next 4. And we thank you so much for.
The other thing that I wanted to mention that I had taken a note was how soon can you vote? There's early voting.
Yes, that's a
29 days before an election, I think, is the maximum. Don't quote me. I mean, I think it's the maximum amount you can vote before the election, but it varies by county.
Yeah.
Here's another thing that's very different Lucille went and talked to her county registrar. My county is humongous. Right. I can't talk to my county registrar.
Right.
I did find that the counties are all different. Not only, each the state, but all the counties in California are different, which is probably the same for the different states as well. So really take some time. I mean, if you really care, then take some time. Take an hour out of your day, go through, see what's different about your state, what you need to do, take some notes, and make sure your plan is going to work. Because we want everybody to vote. That was from the very beginning. Why we talked about the subjects we talked about was to be more educated. I think Lucille and I are both way more educated with the 19 shows that we have had.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
So we feel like we're better educated to vote.
And we do have some wonderful shows people can go back and watch, like about explaining the healthcare system, or, you know, explaining some of the difficult parts of it, and you know, college costs and all that kind of stuff. But I did want to note, because you did mention voting early, that I did that in the primary election. It was great. I walked up, there was nobody there. You know, so just about a month ago, or earlier this month, I went up to my town hall, and they had the polling booth set up. I voted, I left. It took me 2 seconds. So yeah, those are options, right? Voting early, voting by mail, and voting in person.
And I looked to see where I could vote early, and those sites are not listed yet. So that's another thing. You don't really know where you can vote early yet. You need to hop on there and find out as soon as they post it where that place is for you. So yeah.
Right.
All right.
All right. Excellent. Well, thank you so much for joining us. We thank everyone who joins us, you know, in watching the replay. If you have any comments, please share them, and we will answer them.
We will answer them.
Get back to you, and thanks so much.
Yes.
We'll see you soon.
See you in a couple weeks.
Please vote, and please find out. Please make a plan.
Vote.
Vote. All right. Take care. Have a good day.
Bye.